Welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, this Thursday edition of Focal Point, just 3 days away from my Niners taking on the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. You might have heard this dust up about this deer antler spray that Ray Lewis is accused of taking. There's some company in southern Florida that sells this deer antler spray. That's the fastest growing stuff apparently in nature. There's some kind of hormone in there that's a part of this deer spray, and this outfit in Florida is saying this will boost your performance. So it's classified as a performance-enhancing drug, a PED. And the guy that runs this business saying he sold a batch of it to the players on the University of Alabama football team last year, players on the LSU team the year before, or maybe the same year, bought a whole batch of the stuff. Ray Charles, a left-handed golfer from New Zealand or someplace, said he takes it all the time. And you got other people saying that they took it. Now, the reality is, and I've talked to people I've talked to scientific researchers that research in the area of diabetes, where this IGF hormone, where they're familiar with this hormone. And they said, look, you can't make this stuff work through a spray. It's not going to affect the body if you just take it in the form of a spray under your tongue. That's why diabetics have to carry around a syringe everywhere you go. That's the only way to get the stuff into your system. You can't do it by taking a pill or by some kind of a spray. So they're saying, look, this whole thing is just a complete, total, and utter scam. It's just a placebo. Maybe they think they're getting some kind of performance boost, but it's just all in their head. Now, speaking of Manti Te'o, over the weekend we had the March for Life, 650,000 people marching for life. Got a piece on Newsbusters here, and this Manti Te'o story is the story. Now, if we find out that the guy was behind it was a homosexual, that he fell in love with Manti Te'o, had a homosexual affair of the heart with Manti Te'o, and invented this girlfriend, this imaginary girlfriend, out of an effort to try to make a connection with Manti Te'o. Now, my point is, the secondary point is this kind of shows you just how these same-sex attractions, if you got that kind of dynamic inside a locker room within the parameters of a football team, imagine the kind of disruption that's going to provide. But anyway, the media has been completely awash in this story for weeks, and Newsbusters did a look at what the major networks did over the weekend, comparing their coverage of Manti Te'o's fantasy football story, and that's one of the tweets I sent out. This gives a whole new meaning to the term fantasy football. But you got 500,000, 600,000 people showing up for the March for Life on Saturday or Friday, and according to Newsbusters, ABC, CBS, and NBC combined devoted a total of 17 seconds to the March for Life. 650,000 people marching for life, 17 seconds combined, while at the same time they devoted 147 minutes and 43 seconds to the Manti Te'o fiasco. And they did the math on that, 521 times more coverage for Te'o and a girlfriend who never even existed than for the sanctity of human life. And back to the John the Baptist thing, somebody gave me this little statement, which I thought was great, talking about the issue of abortion and when should we speak about it, when can we talk about it, is it appropriate to talk about it in the church? And here's how this goes. When we speak about it in church, we're told it's too political. When we speak about it in politics, we're told it's too religious. In the world of media, the topic is too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. And here's the point. So, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? And the bottom line is, well, we go into the churches, we go into politics, we go into the media, we go into the business world, we go into the education system, and we go into the streets. Now, one of the things about the Super Bowl before we move on, there's a Super Bowl ad that's been prepared by Volkswagen. I saw the ad, It's got a white guy who's from the Midwest, Minnesota or someplace like that, and he's faking this Jamaican accent. So everybody in his office is kind of gloomy and they're glum. And he says, look, I got the solution, man. And he starts talking in this Jamaican accent. Come for a ride with me in my Volkswagen. So he hauls the whole office crew out. They all take a ride in his sporty little new Volkswagen, and they come back and they're bouncing and they're happy. Now, everybody's out there crying racism because here's a white guy talking like a Jamaican. So everybody's out there screaming racism. Here is Ricky Fairley Brown. I guess that's a she because it's R-I-C-K-I. She's the president of the multicultural marketing agency Dove Marketing. She says, this is horrific. That's her word, horrific. Why do they have a white guy from Minnesota faking a Jamaican accent? It's racism. Here is Rochelle Newman Carrasco, chief Hispanic marketing strategist at Walton Isaacson, which is an African-American gay, an African-American gay, lesbian, and Hispanic agency. Can you believe that? Here is a marketing agency that bills itself as an African-American gay, lesbian, and Hispanic agency. Anyway, this Rochelle Newman Carrasco says what happens in this ad is that the culture becomes a punchline, and that's offensive. Here's pop cultural guru Barbara Lippert. It made me uncomfortable to see all of those white people in an office setting doing this. I found it offensive. So here are all these people saying this is offensive. This is racism. This is horrific. So what do the Jamaicans think about this? You would think somewhere along the line, somebody would call somebody in Jamaica, hey, and say, what do you think of all this? Here is Wycombe McNeil. He is Jamaica's Minister of Tourism and Entertainment. So he is a government official. He is speaking for and on behalf of the Jamaican government. Here's what he had to say, quote, we view it as a compliment. People should get into their inner Jamaica and get happy. And he said he's in the process of negotiating with Volkswagen for some sort of co-branding. So you got the people that are out there. I mean, they're making the living out of stirring up and agitating all of these ethnic grievances, and they haven't even bothered to consult with the people that are supposed to be the offended ones who are actually happy as clams, however happy that is, happy as clams to see VW featuring people talking with a Jamaican accent. It reminded me when I was at Stanford, we were the Indians. We were the Stanford Indians. And the politically correct folks, this back in 1973, launched a crusade, and they got the powers that be at Stanford to change the mascot from the Stanford Indian to the Stanford Cardinal, which is a color. It's not even a thing. It's absurd. It's a color. And the interesting thing was there were more Native American tribes in California that contacted the university and said, look, don't make the change. We're honored to be associated with an academic institution of higher learning. We're proud of the fact that we're part of that. We know that what this mascot is about is about things like bravery. It's about things like courage. It's about things like facing danger. We know that's why you picked the mascot. We're proud of that. Don't change it. But all the white folk, again, these were all of the white folk thinking that they knew better than the Native American folk what was good and right for them, and they got the whole thing changed. If you want to join the conversation, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. And again, this is just a sort of a meaningless little story, but I found it interesting because you probably have heard that at one time Coca-Cola actually had cocaine in it. And it's a true fact. Here's a piece on the Atlantic website. It begins this way. When cocaine and alcohol meet inside a person, they create a third unique drug called cocaethylene. Cocaethylene works like cocaine, but with more euphoria. So in 1863, there's a Parisian chemist by the name of Angelo Mariani, and he combined coca and wine, and he started selling it. And it was called Vin Marianne. It became very popular. Jules Verne drank it. Alexander Dumas drank it. Arthur Conan Doyle drank it. The chief rabbi of France drank it and sang its praises. And Pope Leo XIII reportedly carried a flask of it regularly, and he gave Mariani a medal for this invention. So Dr. John Stith Pemberton in Atlanta got wind of this concoction. Now, he had been a morphine addict after an injury he'd suffered in the Civil War, so he decided to make his own version in America. He called it Pemberton's French Wine Coca, and he marketed it as a panacea for medicinal purposes. In fact, I'm looking at one of the original ads for this John Stith Pemberton's Coca-Cola. He changed the name. Well, let me get to that first. Now, so his business started to take off because people liked it. But just as soon as the thing started to take off, his county in Georgia, where he was inventing this and making it, went dry. They made alcohol illegal. So they banned Coca-Cola, not because of the cocaine, but because of the wine. So he just got creative and said, look, I'll get rid of the wine and I'll replace it with sugar syrup. So that's what he did. 1886, he debuted Coca-Cola, which is a combination of coca and the cola nuts, and he called it the temperance drink. So here, this is the way it was billed. Here's the temperance drink. You got a problem with alcohol? Come drink cocaine. My drink is the temperance drink. And so Coca-Cola quickly caught on as an intellectual beverage among well-off whites, but they could only get it at soda fountains. The only place it was served, so the blacks couldn't get it. But he started bottling it in 1899. The blacks could get hold of it. And then all of a sudden, everybody got up in arms. It was racism. They said, look, they're drinking this Coca-Cola. They're going on these murder rampages, these crime sprees. We've got to get rid of the cocaine that's in the Coca-Cola. So by 1903, the Coca-Cola company had removed the coca out of Coca-Cola. And finally, in 1914, cocaine was made illegal 11 years after Coca-Cola had made the change. And here's how Coca-Cola was billed: the intellectual beverage and temperance drink, a valuable brain tonic and a cure for all nervous affections. Focal Point AFR Talk.